I remember thinking, this is how I'm gonna die.
Surveillance video shows a South Florida police officer confronting a man inside a popular grocery store.
Yeah, but it was what happened minutes later and off camera that prompted an investigation into the officer's conduct. NBC6 investigator Willa Shepard has the exclusive details.
This is a busy Publix grocery store on Biscayne Boulevard, just north of downtown Miami and the American Airlines Arena. It was inside a back room at this store where a man says he was threatened by a police officer. We found that there were two separate investigations, but they had very different results. This surveillance video shows Miami police officer Vincent Miller in uniform, working off-duty security at Publix. He's seen approaching Lamont Collins, and the 22-year veteran is later walking toward the door behind Collins. But 40 minutes later, Collins went back in the store, where he was arrested for trespassing. And it's what happened in a back room, off camera, that led to accusations of excessive force.
No one else was there.
Lamont Collins says he's afraid of retribution and spoke to us without showing his face in more detail than seen in the surveillance video.
He threw me on the ground, pulled out that taser, and put it to my face.
Collins told us he saw the light from the taser, but in a recorded interview, Officer Vincent Miller told Internal Affairs none of it happened.
At any time, do you ever take your taser on pointed at Mr. Collins?
No.
And at any time, did Mr. Collins ever have to beg for his life caused by you assaulting him in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Miami's Internal Affairs Department ruled Collins' claims inconclusive, but the city's civilian investigative panel had a different result.
That the officer was not being truthful when he denied using the taser.
Christina Biamoud's team requested the logs from the taser company. Turns out, the tasers can tell their own story. The log showed Officer Miller's taser was armed and ready to deploy twice during the time in question. Biamoud says Officer Miller's own statements don't indicate Collins resisted in any way.
Generally speaking, once a person is handcuffed and there is no other threat to the officer, there would be no reason to activate or deploy a taser.
The panel handed over its results to Miami Police Chief Rodolfo Llanes.
The officer, we believe, was less than truthful in telling us exactly what happened.
The department reopened its investigation and found that Officer Miller violated department policies and suspended him for 2 weeks without pay.
We missed something in our investigation, and they brought it to light.
But the chief believes, outside of this incident, officers use tasers for what they're intended.
Overall, I think the taser has become a valuable tool in de-escalating deadly force situations.
The trespassing charge Collins faced has been dropped, and he's relieved the citizens panel gave his case a second look.
I think the Miami Police Department only does what they have to do when it comes to discipline its officers.
Miller served his 2-week suspension during the spring, and he was also given some additional training. His discipline record we examined also shows that in 2013, he tased a homeless man here 4 times, but didn't arrest him. He was suspended for a week after that incident and was pulled from part-time work at the Publix store. Miller has disagreed with the findings in both investigations. Willard Shepard, NBC6 News.
Now, by the way, the president of Miami's Fraternal Order of Police sent us a statement saying that Officer Miller turning on his taser to deter what he called mostly undesirables from that Publix wasn't an abuse of power. He called it a last show of verbal judo prior to having to use it. He also questioned the amount of time that passed before the officer was interviewed about the incident and criticized the civilian investigative panel, wondering if the money spent could be better used for officer training. We'll be right back.